Welcome to Vetted, the channel dedicated to exploring the unexplained and sharing truly unique accounts of the unknown. Tonight, we journey back almost a century to a time when the world was a very different place, and the mysteries of the sky were just beginning to whisper their secrets. This is the astonishing testimony of a woman driving home in 1930s Texas, whose ordinary journey was interrupted by a silent craft, a group of odd humanoids, a chilling conversation, and the baffling loss of 14 hours of her life. It's a foundational story of missing time and a profound encounter from an era rarely associated with such phenomena. It was 1930, a year, and indeed a decade, that most people remember for the Great Depression, for stark economic realities, for a world that was still very much analog. The idea of flying saucers and alien visitors wasn't in our everyday vocabulary, certainly not in the way it would become decades later. I was just a woman driving home on what should have been a perfectly ordinary day in rural Texas. The roads were often unpaved, the distances vast, and the silence of the countryside was usually comforting. I was driving alone, the familiar landscape of rolling hills and sparse scrubland passing by my window. The sun was probably casting long shadows as the afternoon wore on, painting the sky with the warm hues that only Texas can produce. My mind would have been on home, on the simple domestic rhythms of the day. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, to suggest that my journey was about to take a detour not just through physical space, but through time itself. And then it happened. My car, which had been running perfectly, suddenly gave a shudder. It wasn't a mechanical failure, not a cough or a sputter. It just stopped, utterly, silently. The engine died, the momentum faded, and I rolled to a complete halt on the dusty road. A profound, unnatural silence descended around me, swallowing the distant chirping of birds, the rustle of leaves, even the gentle hum of my own car's cooling engine. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a chilling void in the heart of the wilderness. I looked around, bewildered, trying to understand what had gone wrong. And that's when I saw it. Just by the roadside, nestled subtly among the sparse vegetation, was a saucer-shaped craft. It was unlike anything I had ever seen or heard of. Smooth, metallic, perfectly symmetrical, it sat there as if it belonged. Yet its very presence was a shocking intrusion into the familiar Texas landscape. It had no visible seams, no rivets, no discernible propulsion system. It was utterly silent, a phantom craft resting silently on the earth. My gaze fixed on the impossible craft, then shifted, and standing in the middle of the road, directly blocking my path, was a group of odd humanoids. They weren't many. Perhaps 3 or 4 of them. Their forms were vaguely human-like. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. But something about them was profoundly unsettling. Their proportions seemed unusual, their features subtly alien. They didn't move, didn't make a sound. They simply stood there, waiting, observing me, the presence an undeniable barrier. My mind raced, struggling to categorize what I was seeing. These were not men from the next town, not some strange travelers. Their appearance, their silence, their absolute stillness in the middle of nowhere by an impossible craft, it all screamed other. A fear, deep and primal, began to churn in my stomach, but it was mixed with a disbelieving awe. And then, as I sat there, utterly paralyzed, the contact happened. It wasn't through spoken words, but a sudden, resonant understanding that appeared directly in my mind. A brief conversation unfolded, not in audible dialogue, but in a transfer of thought. The strange beings communicated a clear, concise message. "We can't let you through." This message was not a threat, but a statement of fact, a declaration of intent. It implied a purpose, a reason for their presence, and for my car's sudden failure. It was as if I had stumbled upon something I wasn't meant to see, and they were gently but firmly redirecting me, creating a barrier in time and space. The message was chilling in its simplicity and its implication of absolute control. My initial fear remained, but it was now overlaid with a profound sense of utter helplessness and bewilderment. I was merely a participant in an event entirely orchestrated by forces beyond my comprehension. After this brief, impossible exchange, the feeling shifted. My car, which had stubbornly refused to start just moments before, now sprung to life. The engine turned over smoothly, as if nothing had ever been wrong. I drove away, my hands gripping the steering wheel, my mind reeling. I didn't look back directly, but I knew the craft was there, the beings were there. I just continued on my way, desperately trying to process what had just happened, trying to convince myself it was some strange illusion born of fatigue or sunstroke. I arrived home. The house was dark, quiet, as expected. But as I stepped inside, something immediately felt wrong. The stillness, the way the night felt around me. I checked the time, and to my profound shock, it was midnight. My drive should have taken a few hours, at most. I had left home, let's say, in the late morning or early afternoon. Even with the unexpected stop, even with the bizarre encounter, I should have been home long before this. The sun would have set, yes, but not hours and hours ago. Not like this. I was missing 14 hours of time. 14 hours of my life, gone, utterly unaccounted for. My mind, a scientist's mind, a rational mind, recoiled from the impossible void. 14 hours. It wasn't just a few minutes of disorientation. It was a vast, terrifying gulf in my memory. Where had those hours gone? What had happened during that immense blank period? The terrifying conversation, the silent craft, the odd humanoids, they were all tied to this impossible gap. It was the undeniable proof that what I had witnessed, what I had experienced, was far more than a simple roadside anomaly. It was an intrusion, a profound disruption of my reality by something utterly alien. For decades, I've carried this secret. Who would believe a story like that from 1930? In that era, the cultural framework for UFOs simply didn't exist in the mainstream. It would have been dismissed as madness, hallucination, or simply a woman's vivid imagination. But it was not. My body felt no exhaustion commensurate with a 14-hour physical journey, yet the time was gone. I tried to rationalize it, to find any explanation, but nothing fit. The sheer volume of missing time, directly linked to the encounter, was the undeniable core. The message, "We can't let you through," has echoed in my mind for nearly a century. It implies a larger plan, a hidden agenda, a world of operations beyond our comprehension. Did they do something to me during those 14 hours? Was there a deeper interaction that my consciousness simply cannot access? The questions remain. This was not a terrifying, invasive abduction in the sense that later accounts would describe, but a brief, chilling encounter that left an indelible mark not just on my memory, but on the very fabric of my personal timeline. It was a silent, uninvited lesson in the vastness of the unknown, delivered on a dusty road in 1930s Texas. This extraordinary testimony from the 1930s Texas offers a rare glimpse into an early yet profoundly classic UFO encounter. The clear elements of a landed saucer, enigmatic humanoids, a direct, albeit brief, communication, and a staggering 14 hours of missing time make this a compelling account, even from a bygone era. It highlights how consistent patterns of anomalous phenomena have existed for decades, challenging our understanding of time, reality, and what might be operating just beyond our perception. What are your thoughts on this astonishing story? Have you heard of similar early encounters involving significant missing time? Share your insights and experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Vetted for more true encounters and explorations of the unexplained, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Let's keep the conversation going.